you're here. And since I was 14 years old, I have volunteered or been employed on political races every time that one's come up in my local, county, state, or federal government. And in addition to that, I spent 4 months as a full-time intern with the U.S. Senate Small Business Entrepreneurship Committee in the spring of 2009. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about politics in America. In America, we have 4 basic levels of government: the federal, state, county, and local levels. Because we don't have enough time today, I'm only going to focus on the federal level, but if you're interested in learning about the others, feel free to find me. In the federal level of government, we have 3 main branches: the legislature, the executive, and the judicial branch. The legislative branch is led by the Speaker of the House, currently Nancy Pelosi, and the Majority Leader in the Senate, currently Harry Reid. The legislative branch is bicameral, which means we have 2 houses. The House of Representatives, as its full name is based on population, while the Senate is based on equal representation for each state. So Rhode Island, one of the smallest populations in the country, has 1 representative in the House, 1 congressman, but they have 2 senators. California, with one of the biggest populations, has 53 representatives in the House and 2 senators. In America, we have a system of checks and balances, so that no one branch of the federal government has power to make too many changes without a check with the other branches. No one can get out of control, per se. So the legislative branch has the right to impeach the president if he violates law, and confirms heads of the executive branch. So, Hillary Clinton as the Secretary of State was confirmed by the Senate. And they confirm judicial appointments. So anyone appointed to the Supreme Court by a president has to be confirmed by the Senate. The executive branch is made up of the White House, the national departments, and the vice president and president are elected, President Barack Obama currently, and Joe Biden, and everyone else in the executive branch is appointed by the president and his office. Checks and balances of the executive branch, they have veto power, so they can stop any bill that comes through Congress. The president can say, nope, this isn't acceptable, I won't sign this. It doesn't go into law unless the legislature overrides it with an override vote. And then they also appoint the executive branch heads and the Supreme Court justices. Of course, the Supreme Court, which we're about to get to on the judicial branch, is supposed to be nonpartisan. It is headed by the Chief Justice, who's in the upper right-hand corner. All the justices are appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Judicial review is their check and balance, so if something comes through the courts of the nation and gets to the Supreme Court can rule it unconstitutional, which means that whatever that law is null and void. And they serve for life. So again, the idea of being nonpartisan, judges, you don't want them to be easily influenced, so once judges are appointed by a president, they stay for the rest of their life or until they choose to retire. Our political system has 3 main groups of players. The first is the political parties. There are 2 main political parties in the U.S., Democratic Party and the Republican Party. I broke both of them down into 2 subgroups. There are multiple subgroups, but I'm not going to go into all of them today. On the Democratic side, you have the left wing, which is socially and fiscally liberal, and you have the blue dogs, who are socially liberal and more fiscally conservative than the left wing. Social issues in the U.S. would include gay rights versus family values, pro-life versus pro-choice, these types of things. The Democratic Party tends to be more, or is more pro-choice, pro-gay rights, and then fiscally, we have issues between what should the government take care of for all of us? So what should our taxes cover? Should they cover health care or not? How much of our food and shelter should they cover? Those types of things. So that's kind of where our fiscal lines are drawn. And fiscally, the left wing believes that we should have a national health care system. That should be a right that's given to all citizens through our government, through our tax structure that way. Whereas some of the blue dogs believe that maybe that's more of something that belongs in the hands of each individual to be responsible. So that's why they're a little more fiscally conservative, for example. Then on the Republican Party, you have the right wing, which is socially and fiscally conservative. So pro-traditional family values, pro-life, as far as social issues, and then fiscally conservative, basically keep the government out of my paycheck type of mentality. And fiscal conservatives, well, the name kind of says it all. They're fiscally conservative socially as long as you're not hurting anybody. To a large extent, they don't really mind what you do. But again, that varies by individuals within those subgroups, right? So no one has the exact same set of ideals as someone else. The other two main players are interest groups and lobbyists, and of course the citizens. Interest groups and lobbyists, I'm sure as you read the Wall Street Journal, you hear about different groups on the Hill doing work there. They lobby for votes for their membership. So when I served on the Hill under Senator Olympia Snowe of Maine, the small business groups, the National Small Business Association, these organizations would come to the committee, they would come to the senator and say, here's why you should vote this way on the stimulus, here's what should be in the stimulus, these types of things. They lobby for the things that would benefit their constituents and their membership. So two examples of that is the UAW, the United Auto Workers Union, which is very pro-American blue collar, tends to be a little further left when they do their lobbying efforts, and the NRA, the National Rifle Association, which is one of the largest interest groups in America, and they of course fight for Second Amendment rights and the right to bear arms and have that whole discussion on the Hill. Lastly, but certainly most important in our political structure is our citizens. All US citizens have the right to voice their opinion at the polls, unless that right has been taken from you for some strange reason, and they have the right to be engaged in the process. So, you know, any U.S. citizen in this room has a right to be able to go to their state capitol, their city hall, their, you know, the federal capitol building, and go and see your senator. Set up an appointment. You know, go and meet with individuals on their staff and say, hey, I read this in the Wall Street Journal. This is what my Simon education taught me. This is where I'm coming down on it, and I want you to know. You have that right, and you can do that through mail and phone as well. But I promise you, visiting in person is more effective. And with that, I'll turn it over.